Okay, BooB campers. Oh, Rally, I love you so much. You've jumped in first. So, Nick, we will just give these ladies 2 minutes to join us live in Facebook land. Michelle's in here too. Your owl keeps staring at me.
Oh, I know. I feel like he's...
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I actually had an amazing client paint that for me. I commissioned the work because I was like, I really want this owl. And she was like, I could totally do that. So I was like, yeah, cool. So now it just watches.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, my artist just jumped in here too. Belinda's here. Hey, Dessa. Hi, Karen. Hi, Katie. Hello, Rhonda.
Romper room.
Yes. Oh, yes, like romper room and with a mirror.
Yep.
Yes. Yes. All right. So everybody, I would love to introduce you to my bestest friend, Nick Top. Nick Top and I have been friends for many years. We've been on many adventures. We've had lots and lots of laughs together. And most importantly, this chick here is the woman that I call when I'm in the shit pit. When I'm in the corner in the fetal position sucking my thumb, right? It doesn't matter if we haven't connected for a week, a month, or whatever. And you know what? Sometimes I don't even have to call because she calls me. And yeah, so Nick, I know that like we've had so much fun doing lots of things together, and you are in my body wisdom group. We've got videos of you sharing everything that you do. Yes, you don't even know, because we did it a couple of years ago. But yeah, I love how we hang out where we can be real with each other. I came and stayed at your house when I came to visit.
Still got post-it notes around my house, by the way. They're still up.
We'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, thank you for coming in here, and
thank you for having me.
You are welcome. And we turn up, right? And we've had a bit of a chat, and it's, what are we going to give these girls? And we're going to give them everything that we can. And, you talk about stress and anxiety and depression and all of the head stuff. CAF, in my group, CAF means clean as fuck, right? It means clean as fuck. In the Body Wisdom group, they know when it's CAF week.
Yeah.
It's we're on. Yeah, but yours is calm.
Yeah, it is.
Fuck, right? Yeah. Bringing in the calm, and just being in your presence brings in my calm. So thank you.
Awesome.
Right, so we're going to talk tonight. We're going to tie a couple of things in together. The last 2 nights, and you've been around BooB Camp a lot. And just to let everybody know that Nick and I are both massage therapists. So whenever we go away together, it's, Nick just says, come on, Chelsey, get on the table or get on the floor, or we can be in a boat together, and she's behind me rubbing my shoulders.
That actually probably happened.
Yeah. Yes. And there might be some gins involved too. But we're talking about the lymphatic system. Day 1, we did a lot of education about the lymph, and we showed some slides and got a little bit techie. Last night, we went through all of the different motions, okay, actually touching the body and showing the ladies about 20 different ways on how to do the lymphatic system on the outside physically. Beautiful. But we know with health that there is also a big emotional side of things. And you and I both love Louise Hay, and we also love Annette Moontill. And Louise Hay says that having problems with your lymphatic system is a disconnection from joy. And so does Annette. And Annette is saying that it's when you're losing the harmony inside you. So we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. Yeah. So everyone on Facebook land is jumping on, going, hello, very excited to hear this. Hello, Denise, Janice, Amanda. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to kick off,
Yeah, totally. So just what you said there, I really will always talk a lot about when we're looking at anxiety and mental health and depression. One of the biggest things that I notice with people is it's a matter of, you know, what the world perceives them to be, and then, you know, who they truly are. And depending on where that sits, how closely aligned that is going to be, you know, really important in your own personal state of stress. Because stress is one of those words, while I really dislike the word stress, I feel like it's just thrown around so much, but we've really got to look at the fact that it's basically anything that stresses the body is making it turn up the dial in some way, shape or form. So it's important to know that this actually happens regularly, and it's often a really, really good thing until it's not. So we have different stages of stress response in our body, and let's go through them. We have the alarm stage, right? Where we go, shit, sorry, I shouldn't really swear in your group,
you can
oh my
swear.
goodness, so something's wrong, you know, I've got to take all of the blood away from the digestive system, you know, cue the nervous poo, which is what we talk about in our household, you know, before we have an event or a sporting thing, or the kids are going to do something, we often talk about the nervous poo.
Yes.
Or they need to have a wee, whatever it is, but everything comes out, the body goes, quick, get rid of it, you don't need that, you've got to run, the fight, flight, or we don't so much freeze, but we overthink. So I'm going to kind of change that model just that little bit. So it's fight, flight, or overthink. It doesn't go with the Fs, I know, but you know, that's just the way that it kind of comes out now. So the body just goes, oh my goodness, something's bad. Get rid of all of this, literally lose your shit. And let's put all of the essentially dump the sugar into the muscles to get ready to get out, or to, you know, put up your jukes, so to speak. You know, turns off fertility, does all of these things because we don't need them in those moments. Super cool, really, really good for us to get us out of a tight spot. Not so super cool if it's happening all the time. So that's your alarm stage, right? Where everything goes, oh my goodness, haywire, let's tunnel vision, get the job done. Then we've got that kind of, you know, rest phase. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the rest phase, because I don't think anyone actually ever does it. But back in the dark ages, if you've just run from that saber-toothed tiger, you're hanging out in that cave and people are looking after you, you're resting and you're nourishing, except nobody does that anymore. So we just kick straight into the chronic stress stage, where we're just completely depleted, and we find that we feel overwhelmed and sensitive to noise, and the kids do something and it's that last thing, that the straw that breaks the camel's back. And these are all signs of overwhelm or you know, exacerbated and chronic stress, basically. So it's really all about trying to get that, you know, a little bit more equalized. And of course, you guys talk a lot about nutrition. That's obviously going to be really, really important. But we also have to look at what's going on in our minds for that to be happening frequently. Now, current state of the world at the moment, you know, you can't go anywhere without having just a little bit of a stress response. So it is really, really frequent for us, and it's a little bit difficult to move away from. So we have to have some really clear, simple things to do, really simple things to do. Like, I reckon I've dialed it down by 10 these days, because it's got to be something on your person. Right? Like, you've literally got to not have to reach for the whatevers. You've just got to be able to do whatever you need within and of yourself. So we'll go through a few of those at the end tonight, just to make sure that everyone's really, really clear on how to reset and rebalance, and to be able to kind of calm the farm a little bit, because we don't want to be in that chronic stage of stress, basically, is what that comes down to. So, I mean, some of you guys might notice that you are quick to temper, or there's, I don't know, there's lots of different reasons for, or more to the point, reactions to a chronic stress stage. I know that I get really shirty with the kids, and that's a time for me to check in and go, oh, where am I at? What's going on? What am I trying to do? And why do I feel this way? Sometimes I know where I feel it in my body now, because I've just been doing it such a long time that I'm like, whoa, I know that feeling. And it's a matter of catching myself before we end up in that shit pit. Because when we get down the bottom of it, it's actually harder to claw our way back out again. So I'm all about trying to catch it beforehand and be really, really aware of where you're at, rather than get to the bottom and go, oh my goodness, I'm stuck like a turtle and can't get back up. Yeah. So I hope that makes enough sense.
Yeah. So learning how to catch it. So learning, do we feel it in our bodies? Like, when do we notice? Because a lot of the times it'd be good to trust someone to say, hey, you know, you're getting a little bit cranky. And then you, without wanting
Can you
to
imagine? Could you imagine biting off their head though? The second, like no one in the history of calming down has ever calmed down by being told to calm down. Like there's no way that it would really work very well. It's us. We're waiting for us, unfortunately. And it's a big rude awakening. But yeah, it's would be handy to have someone be able to come out from the side and go, you know, is everything all right? But more often than not, it's us, you know, we seem to wait for this person on the white horse to ride on in, and
maybe checking in on ourselves and saying, are you okay? Those types of things to ourselves.
100%. And just having a little bit more awareness around what your signs are. You know, I find anger is a really, really common one, and we don't want to be that person, do we? Like I know I don't. And so when it happens, it's about figuring out what's a response and what's a reaction. And the difference can just be a couple of breaths, realistically, you know, rather than just go, turn that down, or whatever's going on in your household, that's just mine. You know, to take a breath before I say something is to respond rather than just react from probably my inner 3-year-old who's having a little tantrum about whatever's going on at the time. So definitely having a little bit of awareness around that. And sometimes we have to write that down, you know, to really have a good understanding of how it plays out. If you game, ask someone close to you, but be prepared that you're going to get an answer, and that's beautiful, but just be prepared that there will be an answer. That's for sure.
One thing that we do in the Body Wisdom group is I talk about my bowl story.
Awesome.
And then, you know, when we take a lot of crap on, we take all of these rocks, and I get my girls to tell their husbands, their partners, their daughters, like tell them the bowl story. So then when someone that they trust can say, oh, is that a rock?
Yeah.
You know? So they don't have to say calm down or this or that. It's like, oh,
the triggering words.
Is that a rock that you're putting in your bowl?
It's beautiful because that awareness just gives you everything. And realistically, the fastest way out of these stress responses is your own awareness. And like I said, if anyone's game enough to say, is that a rock, you know, and where are you at? Have you checked in? Something else too, just to be a little bit mindful of is how does your body feel? It's not often that we check in. We don't know. I'm going to rephrase that. We don't check in often enough, because I feel as though we've got a little bit more understanding about the simple fact that the body will hold on to that emotion. It's literally a matter of consistently going, okay, how am I feeling? What's going on? And I noticed that when I started doing Qigong last year. You know, a lot of the words that they use is like, oh, well, if your mind has wandered, it's good that you noticed. It's like, oh, yes, it is. And to just bring it back again, but it's just good that you noticed. Oh, my chest feels tight. It's good that I noticed. Oh, I feel like I've got all of this, you know, hanging around in my neck. It's good that I noticed. Just noticing those things are actually really, really powerful to help shift you through that. That's for sure.
Because if you don't notice, the body's going to, you know, it's going to show you a little bit more. And then a little bit more.
We often talk about, you know, the tap on the shoulder and then the little wallop over the back of the head, and then the rug comes out from underneath you. So when are you going to pay attention? Harsh, but, you know. And I mean, for some people, it's not, you know, abundantly clear. It's that, oh, my stomach feels a little bit off, and it's been feeling a little bit off for quite some time, and or you're sleeping not quite so well, or waking at a certain time in the middle of the night, or, you know, you'll drop off to sleep okay, and then you're awake and you're completely startled, and you're almost like an adrenal response is happening. So it's those things too. We don't just go, oh, I feel a thing. It's played out in different ways. And the most common that I see in clinic is definitely sleep and digestion. Besides the fact that we're excellent overthinkers and we're so damn creative that we can like create stories in our mind, and they can go off on wild tangents too. So definitely worth noting what it is for you. That's for sure.
What is true? Like, what are we conjuring up?
Is it true? Just is it true? Quite simply, is it true? Because we can have this really interesting, massive, convoluted conversation in our own heads, and so much of it won't come to pass. Like I often joke and it sounds harsh to joke, but I've had social anxiety my entire life. And the exhausting part of it is that you're going to overthink all of the conversations you might have. Then you've got to have the conversations. And then you've got to overthink the conversations that you had and wonder how you could have done that better. So you've done that event 3 times, not once, but 3 times. Of course, you're going to be exhausted. So it's a really interesting swing. And commonly too, all of that anxiety swings down into a depressive swing too, because it's kind of like the high alert to the, oh, I'm really tired, swing basically. So important to note that it's both there. It's not often one without the other. It just depends on how deep the holes are.
So tell us a little bit about the difference in anxiety and depression. Yeah. Because a lot of the times you hear people say, oh, I'm depressed. But a lot more people are talking about anxiety now, being anxious.
Yeah, I think there's, especially at the moment, there is much more awareness around what anxiety feels like. And I'll be really honest, I think it's harder for people who haven't suffered with it before, because like we are, and I say this to my daughter as well, my 10-year-old, and I'm like, when we, it's open, shut them in Victoria. So it's like after school, you're not at school, you're back at school, you're not back at school. And so for a child who has always suffered in that way, it's like, oh, I'm good, I'm not, like it's. But what's amazing and what we've discovered ourselves is that she's awesome, because she's felt like this for a really long period of time, but this is really new to a lot of people. So this, that strange feeling of lightheadedness, or the tingly, heavy arms, or the sudden nauseating kind of feeling of something's just not quite right, compared to the depressive side of, well, I feel safe here and I don't really want to go out there. And I mean, that's still going to have a little bit of anxiety to play too, but lack of energy, lack of joy. And you guys talk about that a lot with LymFATics, it is a stagnation of joy, as you said before. So it's an interesting dynamic, and yet they're really often very closely related. At least that's what I see in my clinic, is that it's very commonly together. And again, it does depend on the depths of what's going on there and what else we can do. And there's so much we can do, which is the really cool part.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like that forever, even though in that moment it feels like it. And I mean, you're not human unless you've had dark thoughts or you've had a bit of a crack at anxiety. It's actually really, really normal. We want you to feel. We don't want you to dampen everything out, because if you dampen that out, you dampen out the joy too, yeah. So it is important to feel. I think it's just more people are becoming aware of it, and it feels weird. Like that's the catch cry in our household. I feel weird. And we're like, okay, I know what that is. Because it doesn't just, she's not going to come, or she will come up with the words now, but she won't say, I'm feeling anxious about this and this and this. And adults are the same, they don't know what's going on. They're just snappy. They feel weird. They feel a bit sick. They feel a bit shaky. I liken it to, you mow your lawns, don't you, Chelsey?
Yes.
Yeah. So you know how you prime the motor?
Yes.
And so you get all of the fuel into the spot. Mm-hmm. The body's exactly the same. So when we've got the fuel in all of the areas, we've got all of the blood pumping to the muscles, and we've got all of the, the sugar there waiting to be used, the fuel. It's the same deal with the mower. It's sitting there ready to go, except we don't pull the bloody cord. So we're just sitting here juiced up going, I feel weird is the easiest way to describe it. Because we're experiencing all of these digestive things, these muscle things, these head things. I mean, you can go to the degree of having really, really heavy limbs and finding it hard to move, or feeling like you're actually physically stuck. They're all on the spectrum of what happens during anxiety, and it's different for everyone. They're just my main flavors and what I see the most, but everyone's really, really different. It's just a matter of figuring out what your cues are so that we can then go, all right, what have we got to do from there?
Yeah. So being able to connect with the person that you are portraying and then the person that you're feeling inside is the first thing that we spoke about.
The smaller the gap there, the easier we are in here, because we don't have to create all of the story around, but that's what they think I am, but this is who I really am. whatever that story plays out for every individual. So yeah, the closer we can align that, the easier everything becomes, because we don't have to be someone other than ourselves. We get to just be us no matter what, and the right people will be around you for that exact person, rather than wanting to be like, for me to try to be like you, Chelsey, I'd be exhausted. I'd be exhausted. I love your energy, but I couldn't maintain that. That is not the way that I work. I just I do love quiet. I love to, be rambunctious and have fun, but I definitely get my energy from being alone as well, and being a little bit more introverted, but that's just me. But I know me. And so I know how closely these need to be. If I tried to be you for days on end, I'd be a mess.
That's the best statement. I know me. Like, how many girls, everybody listening, I've just been covered in goosebumps. How many of you can write in the chat box, I know me, right? Because like Nick knows her, like I know me. I know that I'm fine with just turning up and saying what I think and being 100% okay with that, and being, completely authentic, and knowing that, I can turn up and be big, and you don't have to, like, yes, I do definitely have my times that I'm Netflixing and chilling, but yeah, I'm very much on the road to knowing me and loving me too. Like, to be able to look in the mirror and say, you are awesome, I love you, like, so proud of you. That's, that's the big thing.
100%.
Yeah. So the girls are typing in, I know me, Katie, Belinda, I know me, I'm like Nick, love alone time, but then very social too. Yeah. And I love how we're all, we all can't be the same. We all have to bring a different plate to the party.
Thank goodness for that.
Thank goodness for that. Yes. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So things like, you're always traveling. Okay. Your kids, the adventures, all the different things. Every year you do a couple of breaks away with the kids. You take them out of school, you go and trek, you go and do different, backpack
crazy things. Yeah.
We go, like, you can go a whole holiday. I will bring a big suitcase, and you turn up with a backpack that's this big. So you must have come up with some pretty creative ideas and things to do at home, and how to clear the air at home and keep the energy like in a good space.
Yeah, I have. And I'll be really authentically honest and say, and some days I lose my shit. We've had a lot of days that can be pretty stuck around here. And then there's also just the days that you come back to your gratitude and are able just to clear everything away and go, it's okay, it's a new day. It's just, let's just do this. We're feeling this way. That's totally cool. We'll honor that and be okay with it. And nurture ourselves through it, and the most important thing that we've discovered is just to love ourselves through it, because really there's no other choice. We can't do much else anyway. So yeah, look, I think back to when I see people traveling with all of the things, and I tend to not need or want to bring a lot with me, but part of that is because I don't want to carry a heavy thing on my back as well. And I'm the same with the kids too. When we've trekked and we've hiked and I make them backpack too, because I think it's important that they carry their own stuff, because we don't need excess stuff either. So it's really easy for me to strip things right back, and I think that's certainly helped to try to clear spaces and before what's going on now, to be able to just come back to yourselves a little bit and simplify. It's absolutely incredibly important. I'm all about simplifying as much as possible. I find when my life is more simple, then I have no tendency to even head down the road of anxiety or feeling overwhelmed. That's not to say I don't do things. I'm just very careful with choosing how to do the things. And, just, I suppose that's something else that we need to talk about is, what do you do when you're feeling like that and you
Yes.
need to start shifting things, the very first thing is to move your body. And I know you'll like this one because it's emotion, you know, it's stuck in the body. Let's get it in motion and let's move. Now, I'm not saying go and run. I am not a runner, and if I am running, you should be too, because there is always something chasing me. There is no chance that you will see. I did try, and anyway, it's not for me. So I'm not saying get out there and belt anything out. Sometimes we actually need it to be really, really gentle. And that's why a lot of people talk about yoga and leaving everything on the mat. Like, have you heard people say, I left it all on the mat today? And I've seen people get really quite emotional while they've been in a certain pose. And I find that really, really beautiful, because they're just sitting in it and they're holding it and they're stretching through it. So please don't think that I mean go and run. Like I said, I can't, I won't say I can't, I choose not to. The ground gets harder or something as I try to run. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, that's a whole other day.
I don't understand people who run, so that's fine.
Yeah. I would like to. I can get quite addicted to that kind of feeling, but just walk, just get outside and walk and move your body. Stretching is great. Obviously get in there and start jiggling and turning the light bulbs, you know, doing the things that help you to move your body, even though I can guarantee you won't want to do it. And this is the hero moment or heroine moment, right?
Yes.
That sounded dodgy. The thing is that you may not want to do it, but I can guarantee you on the other side of that, you'll feel at least 50% better.
Yeah.
I went for a swim this afternoon. I was feeling a little bit flat. It's a beautiful day in Melbourne today. It is, the sun is out. It's like the first day of spring. I'm like, yes. So I've been swimming a little bit lately, and Victoria's freezing, but there's something about being icy cold that just makes me feel better. And so if I'm feeling a little bit just blur, which happens, I'd go and have a swim, and that changes everything for me as well. So just move. Let's just keep it so simple that we're just going to move our body. Yeah.
Okay, so talking about movement,
Yeah.
I would like to offer everybody listening, if you want to just pop your email address in the chat, in the box, I will send you 3 months worth of free of Amy's naturopathic yoga.
Perfect.
So, okay, so you love Amy and her yoga, so do I. So I'm happy for everyone who writes their email address in the messenger chat here on Facebook. I will gift you 3 months of yoga, ladies.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Look, so important. And what something that I really do love about yoga is that moment of, because you're moving your body, you don't get so stuck in your head. It's just that simple. Yeah.
Yes.
The other thing that I really want to make sure that we nail tonight is just the breath. Yeah, I know. It's funny, when we came back from one of our retreats that we went on, I was chatting with one of the chiros that I was working with, and I said to him, which it might have been the first retreat, I said, oh, it was just so nice to actually like just totally take the space to breathe. And he's so made fun of me. I won't say what he said because it was not really ideal, but he made so much fun of me that it was like, are you going to go off to join the commune now? I was just like, but really, when you take a proper breath, that is so rewarding. And what you'll notice when you're feeling overwhelmed and a bit stressed is that it's difficult. So stick with it and keep breathing and make sure that every breath is bigger than the last. Yeah. I like to put one hand on my chest and one hand on my belly, and I like to check where my breath is.
Because we want it in our belly, right?
It needs to be in our belly. Do you know what happens when we breathe right into our belly is that we reset the vagus nerve. This is incredible.
Yes.
And you can do it just by breathing. So what that does is it actually puts the brake on the stress response. It turns down the dial. You can use all of the analogies, but it basically helps your body to go, oh, I'm okay. So have you ever seen out in nature, you see a bird like, well, I see them hit my window quite a bit, but out having a bit of a panic because the cat's near or the dog's near, and they have their beak open and they're just short, sharp little breaths.
Yes.
That's fight or flight. So if your breath is up here, it's short and sharp. And not only that, as you know, I do some body work as well. We're using all of our secondary breathing muscles. That's why our neck gets tight and our scalenes and all across here. It feels really crappy because we're using all of these muscles to breathe. That's not what they're for. That's what our diaphragm is for. And that links back into you, Chelsey, with moving your lymphatic system. Is diaphragmatic breathing helps to move that all around. So it's all one and the same. But the best thing you can do when you're feeling that restriction, you don't even have to put your hands on your heart and belly. I've done this in the supermarket line before because I just don't care anymore. But I can do it anywhere, anyhow. I can do it when I'm driving and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late. And I'm like, this is not going to help.
Yeah.
Let's take a breath and just make each one bigger than before. And after you get to about 5 or 6, you can feel that there's less resistance and you can feel that there's a little bit more flow in there as well. And it just feels better as a general rule. Can
everybody rub their boobs and belly breathe at the same time? Because I want you to pretend that you're going to the shop.
Is that like patting your head and rubbing your tummy?
Like, I don't know if you can do it, if you can breathe big into your belly and rub your boobs at the same time.
That sounds like a challenge. I reckon you can turn that into a challenge.
I think we can. But that's a tool that you have on you all the time, right?
Absolutely. I've got 5 of them and we're just going to keep it super, super
let's keep going.
Yeah. So moving is really important was the first one. And sometimes a short, sharp movement will just help to deprime the motor, quite literally. I get the kids out on the trampoline if they're feeling a bit weird, and we're like, go and burn that fuel off and you'll feel a lot better. The second one was breathing. The third one is just getting outside, shutting down, dare I say, the social media, the news, the radio, the everything, and just get outside and just see what you can hear. I love taking my shoes off. I am an old hippie at heart. And I feel like I'm sort of cooped up in this, like, you know, in 4 walls these days, but just getting your feet back on the grass. I love being at the beach and just sticking my feet in the water, even when it's freezing cold. Just getting back to basics is really, really lovely. And at worst, just listen for the sounds and see if you can hear a bird, or you can hear the waves, or you can hear the rustling of the leaves, or whatever it is. And I mean, everything will slow down then. So getting outside is super, super important there too, because we just get so stuck in the stuff, and the walls do start to close in a little bit there as well.
So when you get outside though, don't go outside and go, oh, I have to clean out those gutters and pull out those weeds, and look, I haven't watered the garden.
Okay, so maybe move away from the house.
Do it with your eyes closed.
There's beautiful little tracks all over the world, right? Like I've found a few just in my not my literal backyard, but just down the road. I'm like, how do I know these were not here? Exploring, I do love to travel, and it's heart-wrenching at the moment not to be able to go and do the things, among other things, but you know, you still have that ability to adventure a little bit. So I highly recommend going and looking for some little trails. Maybe take someone with you if they're really dodgy little trails, because I don't want anyone to have any accidents or find that it's like, you know, a bit creepy. But that little bit of adventure is really, really important. But it's simple, right? And as you're pounding the pavement, or you're pounding into the earth, it's like stomping that out and shaking that off so that you don't feel so stuck and stagnant. Again, the movement with the outside is like, that's like 2 stars, 2 out of the 5, we're winning, right? Then breathe, that's 3.
Breathe.
All of these things on a walk, realistically, if we're really, really honest. This next one, not quite so much. It's all about nourishing. I'm sure you talk a lot about what goes on and what's important for the body. And there are some certain things that not only that we want to eat, but there's some things that we want to kind of avoid a little bit as well. I know for me that I would often joke about being twitchy unicorn when I had too much caffeine. Now I just can't have more than 1 cup. I've finally weaned my way down, and coffee's my first love. So you're never going to get me to get rid of it. I gave it up to have my babies and to breastfeed them, but it's never going away again. But it's 1 cup and I don't abuse it. I really sit and I enjoy my 1 cup of coffee. It's excellent coffee. I have all of the organic and freshly made things, and I really, really enjoy it. My husband knows it was my first love, but anyway. So the thing is, though, is that caffeine can really mimic so many of those feelings. And especially if what you're experiencing at the moment is anxiety, we really need to make sure that you're not overdoing that. And of course, you know, I probably don't need to say this, but Coke and soft drinks are going to have a similar kind of impact. Blood sugar levels are going to be really important to try to keep those nice and stable, because again, that mimics that feeling of that high of the anxiety and the low of the depressive kind of swing as well, when our blood sugar levels are not nice and stable and even. So, you know, looking at proteins and just having decent balanced snacks, not going for the really high carb or high sugar stuff, because it'll make you feel really, really crappy, even though that's exactly what you're craving. And I know you're like, grr, but I want the donuts. I know I did too. But I know that doesn't really work very well long term. Sometimes it's okay on occasion, but if we really want to, you know, if this is something that's going on for some time, we need to really rein that in a little bit and make sure that we're keeping it nice and easy. But the other thing that I really want you to pay attention to is MSG and flavorings and colorings. That is like, it's kind of like you've got a bouncer at the blood-brain barrier, right? Going, no, you shall not pass. You can't get in. You're too pissed. And then it's like going, yeah, bouncer's going away. And he just lets in all of the 3-year-olds hyped up on caffeine. And that's effectively what happens within the brain. We can't regulate anything. It's just bouncing around all over the place. So it's super, super important that you do pay attention to what's in your food, because there are some things that are neuroexcitable. That's a word. That basically just makes everything feel really, really crappy. So, and it's very hard to think straight. It's very hard to just calm the farm. And then on the other side of that, yeah, you've got the real flatness that happens there too. So we do need to nourish. That's the main thing. It's all about what we put into the body. But there's those few things that we've got to be a little bit careful of, just so that we don't exacerbate our problems while we're possibly in a bit of a spiral down or at the bottom of the shit pit too. They're not going to make it very easy.
Can you imagine me if I ever had a cup of coffee?
No.
I've never had a cup of coffee in my life.
Thank God.
Can you imagine it?
I think I'd be able to feel you vibrating from here. Yeah, probably not ideal for you. And some people are just way too stimulated on it as a general rule anyway. It is just my first love. So I totally am okay with people drinking it, because I can't be a hypocrite. I'm not going to tell someone to do something that I can't do or choose not to do. But at the same time, I'm not abusing it. So if you're finding that it's creeping up and that you've not got the, we all know what coffee does with our energy levels anyway. It completely depletes us and throws us right out. But yeah, look, it's an adventure. Yeah. One day maybe we will see you on an espresso martini. Maybe we'll have the high and the medium. I don't know. You'd carve up the dance floor. I'll give you the hot tip.
Well, that's why I have to be a daytime drinker, because if I drink past 7 o'clock, you know, I'm all night. You know that. At all. Yeah.
So there's one more in my top 5 things of very, very simple things that everybody can do. And the last one is get creative.
Yes.
So when we're anxious, we've actually got these incredibly creative minds. And it's stunningly beautiful. We just need to harness it in the right direction. So when you're feeling as though, you know, that's all starting to bubble up, that's the time to get out and be a little bit creative. Now, creativity can be across the board. It could be anything. You know, I get creative in the kitchen, and I love to draw as well. So it really depends on my mood as to what I'm going to do. If I'm feeling a bit sometimes I put it in the food. Not the in the food, but I put the energy into the food, you know, to actually have a product at the end of the day, and also as though I've actually done something and shifted my way out.
So girls, ladies, can you please pop in the chat box, what do you do that's creative? What do you do that brings you joy that's creative? Because that's the element that we've added to Body Wisdom this last time round, because we've got our beautiful artist, Belinda. On that note, Belinda's going to be doing an 8-week artistic program starting on 13th of September as well. So I'll get Belinda to put some more information about that in BooB CamP, and it's an online, she's an artist, she is the most amazing artist, and she's going to run a little course for us in BooB CamP. So
amazing.
Yeah, so all the different things. All right, the ladies are listing it. So Relly does, she's put in sewing, and Relly does my sewing, because you know how you can't be the master of all things, jack of all things, a master of none. Okay, so there's 2 things that I will not do, and that is sew or do anything to fix the cut. So
Yep.
They're my two things that I will not do. So yes, Relly does my sewing. So what else we got? Gardening.
Yep.
She's ticking a couple of boxes there. Hey, Michelle. Yep. Out
I'm
in
a big one on that too, because you can spend so much time and energy in there. My veggie patch is going off this year because I've spent so much time in there. But I did plant rage carrots once, but that's beside the point. That's a story for another day.
And I love seeing your garden. I love seeing on Instagram your garden. Vicky, art journaling. Yeah, Vicky does an amazing art journal. So journaling, right?
Yeah, 100%. Get it out here, get it down on there, and you can start to actually see some patterns, which is really cool because actually you know everything you need to know. Just we haven't always articulated it. More often than not, you've got the best advice for yourself. That you're giving to somebody else. So journaling's a massive one. I love journaling.
And if you knew those steps to ask yourself, stop, breathe. Is this true?
Yeah.
Just those questions to ask yourself to get yourself, catch yourself. Where am I feeling it?
Yeah, well, I use a short model that I created, which is literally just cue, care, and repair.
Cool.
So you notice the cue. You can give yourself some love around it because it's much easier when we love ourselves through it, because when we're hating ourselves through it, that whole the world perceives me to be compared to who I am gets completely disjointed. It's probably gone off the page. And then the repair is in those 5 things, looking at the movement and the breath and getting outside, creative. It makes life easier.
Self-care. Dessa, hers is cooking as well. Susie wrote, learn from Belinda. Yes, because we had Belinda in our teach us. Well, we should add some photos, Susie, of what we did. Drawing, cooking, decorating, random acts of kindness.
Yeah. How good is that? That is like one of the things that just completely lifts my heart, because not only are you giving and you receive from their joy, they've experienced the joy too. If we all just did that around the world at the moment, could you imagine what it would feel like compared to current climate? It would be amazing. Absolutely amazing. I love random acts of kindness.
So we're doing that at the moment, Nick. I'm not sure if you know, we're doing our Pay It Forward campaign.
Oh, awesome.
And so, so kindness, random acts of kindness. So when the girls purchase their kit, they can pay the $12 freight, and I will send a free kit, a free LymFATics kit, to the person that they nominate.
Amazing.
So I get to get the love from the group, from the lady who's buying,
from the gift.
And then I get to gift the pack. So that person receives my pack and then says, oh, okay, what am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to move my body. I'm going to learn about lymph. I'm going to join BooB CamP, and I'm going to get support like this. So that's, giving. I feel amazing because I feel being in Queensland, I feel half useless. So this is something that I can do to help give, around the rest of Australia, with the girls, participating as well.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Cooking, being creative, being in the garden. Belinda has the most amazing garden too. Oh, she even decorates her plate. She's one of those people.
Yes.
Every plate is Instagrammable.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's amazing. Creativity is the key. Cleaning. You know what? I do enjoy cleaning. Like, I feel better when I've turned the music on and done a clean.
When we talked about this a little bit just before too, I'm the same, and I really do like to smudge my house out every so often as well. And call me a tree hugging hippie, but there is something beautiful about going around to each room and just clearing the shit out and then bringing in the new. It just, everything feels that little bit better. Sometimes I smudge the kids because I'm like, you guys.
What do you use, Nick? What do you use?
There's a couple of different ones that I use. I use sage when I want to get rid of whatever's floating about, if something just feels a bit yuck. And I use Palo Santo to bring in the new, so that feels more renewable. It's a little bit lighter. bit hard to explain, I suppose, but it definitely has a different energetic feel that I notice. And I have a lot of sprays as well, just depending on, so I have clearing sprays, but I also have, you know, some beautiful essential oils that I've had a local, I really like to shop locally, and especially when it's, you know, people just like ourselves who are doing the things that we love, it feels better to use those things. So I've got quite a few. There's like, I don't know, there's like a love one, and there's a divine one, and there's a few different ones. There's an earthing one, a grounding one. So it depends on my mood. Yeah.
Yeah. So using essential oils too, you know, is another really good tool to,
yeah, sure.
you know, each one will be for something different.
That's right. And there's, you know, we're attracted to certain things, like we're attracted to certain smells. I love when I go, oh, that's my favorite smell, and I look it up, I'm like, that's so fitting right now. Like it's just kind of, yeah, it's kind of cool. So yeah, check them out.
Yeah. Okay. Journaling, planning outings, events for disability social groups.
Awesome.
Yeah. Paying it forward, Alana. Creating when cooking. Yes. Brings me so much joy, happiness, seeing the body wisdom ladies being creative and open to learning. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. So I just think, you know, if we can support each other in a way to come back, you know, because it's easy to get caught up. And sometimes you need to, you know, but just knowing that these are the things that we can have on us all of the time.
That's right. It's just stripping it back. I know when everything feels really overwhelming for me, that actually once I kind of remove a lot of what I feel is overwhelming and I strip it right back and go, hang on, oh, it's not me. It's actually just all of the other external things. And even sitting outside for 5 minutes can just get me to that point where I just go, I'm fine. Actually, that word's got a whole other meaning. I'm good is a better word. I won't go into that one because that's rude. But you know, it is really, really interesting when you start to take away some of those external pressures and you start to realize that actually, no, it's not me. I am good. And then you start to serve in a different way, because we're all here to serve, right? In just different contexts. And we all serve better when we serve ourselves first, because we've got more energy and love and joy to be able to do that. So just bringing yourself back into alignment of what's actually necessary, I think is probably key now. At least that's been my biggest lesson over the last year.
So what is your tip for a lot of women in here wouldn't put themselves first?
Yeah. Okay. So it's really interesting. I'll often talk to people about, you know, what would you say to your best friend? What would you say to someone that you love, who just told the story that you've just told me? How would you care for somebody else in your situation? And I can guarantee that 9 times out of 10, it'll be completely different to how we care for ourselves. Some of my biggest lessons have been in actually making myself and my health a priority, because if I do anything less, then I can't actually care for anybody else in the same capacity that I can now. So if it's easier for you to flip it on its head and say, by caring for myself, I care about others more, use that.
Yeah. And I think I'm super lucky, because I get to, for me to do my job that I love, I have to walk the talk. Yeah. I have to do what I teach. Totally. And that keeps me in line and accountable, right? Motivated and accountable.
And can I be really honest though, and say sometimes all of that goes out the window for me, and it's just about getting back on track. So it's not, oh, well, that's gone to shit. It's, well, okay, that was a bit of a blip. And I don't necessarily mean with food, I mean with practice. Like I have some beautiful shamanic practices that I use, and I feel so centered and grounded and energetic and joyful when I consistently, you know, do the meditation and mindfulness and all of the things that come with it. I feel amazing. And then of course I get distracted because stuff happens, you know, someone needs a piece and someone else needs a piece and someone else needs a piece. And that's where we can come a little bit unstuck. The key is just to get back on track the very next moment that you can. It's not to beat yourself up about, oh my gosh, I let that go. It's okay, I've just got to start again. well, it's not even start again. I've just got to keep going. And I'm going to choose to commit to this way because I will serve everybody else better when I am good.
Good. You've taken time over the last 2 years or even longer to really put the work in. You know,
100%. I've gone to the hard places.
Yes.
Because it's not comfortable, right? Like you've got to face yourself. And that is really tricky sometimes. And not everyone's brave enough to do it. And that's totally cool. There's no judgment there whatsoever. It's hard because, you know, if we look at ourselves as actually being so incredibly powerful, that's a scary thought, right? Because suddenly we're responsible for everything in our lives. So it is not an easy road, but my goodness, is it worth it? And even just dipping your toe in a little bit is totally worth it. Everything changes. Yeah,
taking responsibility, right?
Totally. And
take responsibility. So can you talk us through, I know you didn't want to, but can you talk us through a little bit about your course? You're like, Chelsey, I'm just joining in here. I don't want anything back from this. But, you know, there are women in this group who work with you and, you know, they love you so much. So it would be a dishonor not to tell people what you offer.
Sure. Yeah, look, I could not help enough people without repeating myself so many times that I decided to put, I don't know, 19 years worth of practice into some weekly modules so that I could break it down, give people time and space to be able to digest it, ask some questions, have a breakdown if they need to, contact me if they need to. But really, I do offer Calm AF. I don't even say the full amount, as in the full words, because I just kind of go, that's a bit triggering for many. But it is all about 6 major steps to be able to keep yourself as calm as possible and to really use all of the clinical pearls that I've discovered over time. And what hasn't worked as well has been really just as important as what is working for people and how to be able to utilize that. So I just break it down into 6 simple steps, basically, 1 each week, a good theme, a good hard look at ourselves in the beginning, which, you know, feels a little bit confronting, but if we're going to do the work, we're going to do it properly and we're going to make sure that we get really good results by the end so that we can check back in at the end and go, oh my goodness, this doesn't happen anymore, nor does that, nor does that, nor does that.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun. But yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and that measuring your starting point.
You have to because we forget. We so forget. You know, I even look back on a year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 and I kind of go, oh, I haven't really done much stuff. And then I go, oh, actually, there's been heaps. And it completely changes the trajectory of your life. We don't notice it in every day. It's like when your kids grow, right?
Yes.
Like you don't notice them growing and then someone pops around and says, oh my goodness, they're like, you know, look how tall they are. And you're like, oh yeah, stuff happens. We just don't notice it on an everyday level. So measuring is really, really important. That's for sure.
We measure tallness in our house because, you know, my son being a basketball player, we have got a line, like the lines going up the wall all the time because he just wants to hit that 6'2". He just hit the 6.
See, that's never happening in my family. My recipe is much smaller.
Yeah, so yeah, measuring once again, so knowing from where you start and going, you know, this is where I'm at.
Yeah,
this and being open,
being really honest
where I'm at.
Yeah, it's being honest about where you're at, and that's really beautiful, to be honest, because one, it's hard and it's vulnerable and it feels really, really wobbly. But when you put that effort in to be really honest with yourself, no one else sees this work. It's up to you to really dive in. And I say that because I've done many courses with many different types of people before, and I didn't really want to write on the nice handout, or I didn't want to, you know, get right in there and scribble all over the place because it's like, I want to keep it nice.
Yes.
But that doesn't get you anywhere. We need to get a bit messy before we can really see the result. Which, you know, probably sounds a little bit daunting, but it's not to be. It's just that we face ourselves and we kind of go, well, actually, like I used to find myself when I had my son, he was a baby, I'd get him in the car and do all of the things. And like, I was pretty anxious at that stage. And I'd drive to the supermarket because I needed whatever I needed. And I'd drive around the car park and then I'd just go, oh, I can't find a car park. I don't want to hold anyone up. I'll just go. And it wasn't until like a year later that I went, that wasn't very healthy. And I know stuff, right? But I would not do the thing because I was like, oh, I don't want to hold someone up. I feel like, you know, my plates here of like how to show up and who I was were just not even on the screen, you know? So it's really, really interesting. And when you can start to face some of the things that you do to try to hide what's going on or hide who you are, or that thought, that, you know, that issue of maybe I'm not who I think I should be, that's where that rub is, that you know, that discomfort. So facing yourself and measuring it and being really aware of it and writing about it, it's so cathartic. And then you get to actually look at where you're at and go, what do I want?
Yeah, there becomes a time where you can't just file it away in the cabinet anymore. No. You get to an age where that cabinet's going to open.
Or do you know what? You could, and you'll just keep drinking and you'll keep just moving on and feeling numb. And if that's the way it's going to be, that's the way it's going to be. There's no judgment there. I was doing that too. But life gets better because you learn to be a bit more vulnerable and a bit more aware, and you get to feel all of the things, because I was completely numb. I'm certainly not going to lie about that. It was easier. It was like, oh no, nothing can hurt me if I don't let it. But when you don't let that in, you don't let the joy in, and then, I don't know, it's a bit boring, I suppose. But until we get to that point, and you've got to get to that point where it's like, enough. I don't want this anymore. I've had enough of it.
We've just had a couple of, so girls, we're just going to wrap up soon. So if you want to ask Nick any questions, please pop them in the chat box. We've had a couple of ladies say that they're very good at procrastinating. I can never say that word. Procrastinating.
Yeah. Okay. So procrastinating is really, really interesting. And I'll put my hand up to say that I've done that before quite a bit. It depends on the task. What is it that you're procrastinating about though? Like, what is it? What's the issue? You know, do you mean procrastinating around moving your health forward, or do you mean procrastinating around
maybe not being able to make a decision?
Okay. So
I'm not sure. I'll wait for them to write in.
No, that's cool. But indecision is a really, really good one. And this took me a good couple of years to learn, if I'm really, you know, if I'm serious, because when a decision, so the beautiful, creative, anxious brain, right, wants to think of all of the options. We're the best people to camp with because we've thought of all of the things that could go wrong. We've got all the stuff, except for me, because I like just a backpack, but that's beside the point. You know, we have this incredible ability to think our way around things. And when I say that's beautiful, it actually really is, because not everyone thinks like us. Yeah. Our minds are so stunningly beautiful. It's just sometimes we get stuck in them. So as far as, you know, we can over prepare, and so we don't do the thing, we just overthink it the whole time and then don't actually do it. And indecision is something that actually has to come from your gut intuition. And your gut intuition really kicks in when you get to know who you are a little bit more.
That's great for tying it all back together. So Janice said that she procrastinates with health, exercise, diet.
Yeah, cool. So the harsh reality is, how's that working out for you?
Yeah.
And I know that sounds harsh. I can be such an ass in clinic sometimes, because I will call what I see, and I say it with love, because that was me too. As a naturopath, I would still eat crap. Sometimes I still do, because that's balance. You know, it's a matter of, I really enjoy certain foods and they may not be my healthiest, but I enjoy them when I eat them, and then I just do the best that I can with what I've got 90% of the time, you know. So that start-stop thing is that, I think the message I really want to say to you is that you're worth it. You're worth starting it. And you're worth continuing with it. And when things don't go exactly according to plan, because that's probably perfectionism that we're really looking at here. I don't know, I could have the wrong vibe, but perfectionism is a really, really big undercurrent in mental health in general. And I want to be really, really clear. Perfectionism is not striving for excellence. It's changing the goalposts. So you're never going to get there. Does that make sense? So it's really all about being really clear with what you want, and celebrating those goals when you get there. And then you can move on to the next goal, but don't go, this is what I want, and then think, oh, halfway through, I could do better, and make it harder, because you'll never celebrate and you'll never feel like you've achieved anything. So we have to celebrate those little things along the way. Otherwise,
yes,
you never get
so
there.
she said that it's definitely not working out for her.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
That's excellent. So
Yeah,
you've just made a verbal commitment that it's not working out for you. So
yes.
what are you going to do?
Yes. And she said, yes, definitely. She's too hard on herself. So perfectionism, and she's too hard on herself.
Yeah, perfectionism is like my arch nemesis, because that's where all of the overthinking comes in. We think we can always do better. Have you ever done something and gone, oh my gosh, I so should have done X, Y, Z after that?
Mm-hmm.
But you did the best that you could with what you had at the time. And when we know better, we do better. But it's not always about better. What feels right? You know, it feels right just to move your body in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to be a certain way. I personally have like a few different things, a list of different ways for me to move my body that feels good, because not every day do I feel like pounding the pavement, or, you know, I get really stuck in boring routines. I need to shake it up a little bit. And if I know that at 6 a.m. I'm always going to show up and do this one thing, you've lost me. I need that little bit of change. That's just the way that my mind works, my body works, and what makes me feel happy. So if I know that there's different things I can do, I'm going to do them. And if I've, you know, organized to meet a friend for a walk with a coffee, I'm not going to let them down.
Yes.
So set yourself up so that you can't let yourself down, because we'll quit on ourselves first, right?
Mm-hmm.
We always do. But that's not good enough. Because if we're quitting on ourselves, you know, an old mentor once told us that the way we do one thing is the way we do everything.
Yes.
And I carry that through, because I notice it everywhere. So if you're quitting on yourself in just that, where else are you quitting? You know, and it's a matter of just doing what you can with what you've got and reconnect.
Yes, she's given us the thumbs up. She said, yeah, thank you. That sounds good.
Excellent. Now that you've made a verbal commitment to that, we want to see some
Janice,
kind of
come on, girl. All right, we want some progress reports now.
100%.
Yeah, writing it down.
Nothing like being put on the spot, is there?
What's your course thingy called, Nick?
Excellent. I like that.
I love you.
CALM AF.
Yes, we'll put a link.
Get in contact with me.
Put a link.
Look, you know what? Maybe we should do a pay it forward. If anybody's interested in doing it, I'll also gift it to somebody else who needs it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
How that lands. Just get in contact with me and I'll be able to send a link or whatever.
Okay. So so Nick is in BooB CamP, of course. So they can get in contact with you by how?
Good question. Actually, Chelsey, you have a link.
Yes, I have a link.
Otherwise, just look me up. If I'm in here, just send me a message. It's probably where are we
okay.
On?
So NICTOPP, Nick Top. Yep. And what we'll do is you've given me a link. Yes. So you're the bomb, Nick Top. Vicky Devine says.
Thank you. Right back at you.
Yes. That's so lovely. Yeah. So everyone's going, thank you. Oh, Eunice, so my beautiful VA has put the link.
Oh, awesome. Yes. There you go.
I have got the best team. Like, I'm just going to take a moment.
Lucky you.
to say, you know, my online team, bless them, like my 4 girls online, and then my 4 girls, no, that includes me, my 3 girls.
It includes you.
Here. No, they're 4. Whoops. 4 girls here. Yes, are absolutely amazing. So thank you, Eunice. So the CAF course, running you through the program, stay bit by bit in chunks that you can consume as
simple. Yeah. And look, there's a Facebook group to ask questions. We're a bunch of introverts, right? So it's not like crazy busy in there, but there's a great place to be able to ask questions or seek out advice from anybody else if need be. check in and that kind of thing. So it's so interesting looking at different groups. I get more personal messages through that group than I actually do on the wall, but that's cool because I get it. I was like that too. And I'd be like, oh, I don't really want to ask anything. It might be a silly question. There's no silly questions ever. And usually someone else from the group gets something out of it, but I understand.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to wrap it up because I need to get to basketball, and you know that we could talk
For
all
hours.
day, all night, hours as we do. And I love that you're still finding my little love notes that I left around your house.
It's hilarious.
For
especially
you.
the forehead one. I see that most mornings.
Yeah, because you know you got to bring, like, we work really hard, you know, so finding just that little bit of time to bring the joy, bring the fun. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can just be a stick-it note, right?
It can, yeah.
It can just be as easy as a stick-it note. So thank you everybody who has joined in live, and hello to everybody on the replay. To you as well. I know that you know, at 7:30 on a Wednesday night you can be putting the kids to bed and doing all those things. Next week 7:30 we have Trace coming in, and what Tracy's talking about is you know, probably a lot of work that Nick's done too, and it's finding out what are the emotions going on behind the scenes, you know, and how to be able to tap into those types of things. So we're doing that. And then the week after we've got we're talking hormones. Okay, so we're talking all about hormones with, oh my god, now Kylie, yes, we've got Kylie Pinwell joining us in 2 weeks time. So girls, so please put in your diary. So we've had BooB CamP Monday night, BooB CamP last night, Nick tonight, Tracy next Wednesday, and then after that is Kylie. So she's going to answer all of your hormone questions, because we haven't done a hormone. We've had Tara talk thyroid, and we've done a really good talk on Trace has done keto and fats and food, but yeah, we haven't done a really big, you know, talk on hormones. So I'm excited. And the other thing is everyone listening in, if there's a topic that you would like me to cover, and if you do enjoy these talks, you know, I'm happy to keep them going. We have the best network of gorgeous naturopaths who are so super talented and fun and sexy, and just, you know, love being a part of this. So give us some hearts if you know, if you enjoyed tonight, and also send me like, what else would you like to hear about? Because I'm sure between us, like Nick has some amazing contacts too, we will be able to help you out. So thank you, my amazing girlfriend, Nick. You know, everyone would get so much out of that.
Awesome. And exhale.
And exhale. And take a breath. Always lots of fun. And yes, the girls can reach out to you too.
Awesome. Take care, guys. Thanks for having me.
See you, Nick. Goodbye, everybody.